A woman stopped by unannounced at her recently married son's house. She rang the doorbell and walked in. She was shocked to see her daughter-in-law lying on the couch, totally naked. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm waiting for my husband to come home from work," the daughter-in-law said. "I am wearing my love dress." "Love dress, but you're naked," said the mother-in-law. "My husband loves me to wear this dress," she explained. The mother-in-law left. When she got home, she undressed, showered, put on her best perfume, dimmed the lights, and lay on the couch waiting for her husband to arrive. Finally, her husband came home. He walked in and saw her lying there so provocatively. "What are you doing?" he asked. "This is my love dress," she whispered, sensually. "Needs ironing," he said. A woman is having lunch in a Los Angeles cafe when a man approaches her table. "Excuse me, miss," the man says. "My wife and I are visiting from out of town. She loves your sandals. She wanted me to come over and ask if you bought those sandals around here." "Actually," the woman responds, "I got them in a shop just about a block from here." "Fantastic," the man responds. "And if I may ask, how much did you pay for them?" "I paid $250, she admits. "Thank you," the man responds. He walks away and yells to his wife, "She got them in New York." Kevin was in love and wanted to introduce his bride-to-be to his mother. But in order to get an unbiased opinion, he invited over 3 other female friends as well and didn't tell his mom which one he intended to marry. After the 4 women left, he asked his mother, "Can you guess which one I want to marry?" "The one with short hair." "Yes." "How'd you know?" "Because that's the one I didn't like." The maid requested a raise, and the lady of the house was unhappy about it. She asked, "Now, Jessica, why do you think you deserve a raise?" "Jessica, there are 3 reasons why I requested the raise. First, I iron better than you do." Lady of the house, "Who said that?" "Jessica, why, your husband." Lady of the house, "Oh, okay. What is the second reason?" Jessica, "Second, I cook better than you." Lady of the house, "Who said that?" Jessica, "Your husband." Lady of the house, "And what is the third reason?" Jessica, "Third, I am better in bed than you." Lady of the house angrily, "Did my husband say that?" Jessica, "No, the pool boy did." Jessica got the raise she was looking for. A group of girlfriends is on vacation when they see a 5-story hotel with a sign that reads, "For women only." Since they are without their boyfriends and husbands, they decide to go in. The bouncer, a very attractive guy, explains to them how it works. "We have 5 floors. Go up floor by floor, and once you find what you are looking for, you can stay there. It's easy to decide since each floor has a sign telling you what's inside." So they start going up, and on the first floor, the sign reads, "All the men on this floor are short and ugly. They don't have jobs and hate children." The friends laugh, and without hesitation, move on to the next floor. The sign on the second floor reads, "All the men here are short but handsome, have decent jobs, and hate children." Still, this isn't good enough. So the friends continue on up. They reach the 3rd floor, and the sign reads, "All the men here are tall and handsome, have well-paying jobs, don't really care for children, but want to get married." They still want to do better, and so, knowing there are still 2 floors left, they continued on up. On the 4th floor, the sign is perfect. "All the men here are tall, handsome, have all the money in the world, are romantic and sensual, love children, are not jealous, and will marry you on the spot." The women get all excited and are going in when they realize that there is still 1 floor left. Wondering what they are missing, they head on up to the 5th floor. There they find a sign that reads, "There are no men here." This floor was built only to prove that there is no way to please a woman. Please go down on the escalator to your right. A 90-year-old man is on his deathbed. Summoning his last bit of strength, he lifts his head and whispers, "Is my beloved wife Sarah here with me?" And Sarah says, "Yes, I am here." He then says, "Are my children, my wonderful children, are they here with me?" And they reply, "Yes, Father, we are here with you to see you breathe your last." And he says, "Are my brothers and sisters here with me as well?" And they too tell him that they are here. So the old man lays back quietly, closes his eyes and says, "If everybody is here, why is the light on in the kitchen?" A blonde's house is on fire, so she runs outside to use a payphone to call for help. She gets the 911 operator and gets transferred to the firehouse. "Mr. Fireman, my house is on fire. You have to help me." The fireman replies, Yes, miss. How do I get to your house?" The blonde pauses a moment and replies, It's the house that's on fire." Realizing he is now talking to a blonde, the fireman comes back with, "No, miss. How would you like me to get to your house?" To which the blonde replies, "Duh, big red truck." A lawyer and a blonde are sitting next to each other on an airplane. The lawyer gets bored, so he looks over to the blonde and smiles, thinking maybe he can make use of his time. "Hey," he says to the blonde, "do you want to play a game?" The blonde shakes her head and goes back to her reading. 5 minutes later, the lawyer asks her again. She shakes her head again. When the lawyer asks her for a third time, she is exasperated and finally asks him what the game is just to get this lawyer off her back. "It's simple. I ask you a question. If you don't know the answer, you give me $5. Then you ask me a question, and if I don't know the answer, I'll give you $5. Seeing the blonde look skeptical, he smiles, thinking she doesn't look very smart, so he'll still make money if he changes things around a little bit. "Fine, how about this? If I get the question you ask me wrong, I pay you $100 instead." Finally, the blonde shrugs and looks at the man. "How many miles are there from the earth to the sun?" asks the lawyer. The blonde silently reaches into her purse and hands him $5. The lawyer smiles. "Your turn," he says in a friendly tone of voice. The blonde paused, then said, "What has 7 legs in the daytime and 2 legs at night?" The lawyer was stumped by this. He took out his laptop and emailed all his colleagues, to no avail. Finally, he shakes his head and hands the blonde a $100 bill. He sits in silence for a moment, then says, "So what's the answer?" The blonde silently reaches into her purse and hands the lawyer a $5 bill. An elderly couple had dinner at another couple's house, and after eating, the wives left the table and went into the kitchen. The 2 elderly gentlemen were talking, and one said, "Last night, we went out to a new restaurant, and it was really great. I would recommend it very highly." The other man said, "What was the name of the restaurant?" The first man thought and finally said, "What is the name of that flower you give to someone you love? You know, the one that is red and has thorns." "Do you mean a rose?" "Yes," the man said. He then turned toward the kitchen and yelled, "Rose, what's the name of that restaurant we went to last night?" One morning, a woman said to her husband, "I bet you don't know what day this is." "Of course I do," he indignantly answered, going out the door on his way to the office. At 11, the doorbell rang, and when the woman answered it, she was handed a box containing a dozen long-stemmed red roses. At 1 egg, a foil-wrapped box of her favorite chocolates arrived. Later in the afternoon, a boutique delivered a designer dress. The woman couldn't wait for her husband to come home. "First, the flowers, then the candy, and then the dress," she exclaimed when he walked in the door. "I've never had a more wonderful Groundhog Day in my whole life." A wife suspected that her husband was having an affair with the housemaid. She thought of a plan to make him by surprise. One Friday, she told the maid to take the day off, and that night she went into the maid's room, switched off all the lights, and, in pitch darkness, slipped into the bed. Sure enough, at midnight, there were footsteps and a figure opened the door and slipped into the maid's bed beside her. After a few passionate kisses, and the wife growing increasingly angry, she suddenly switched on the lights and screeched. "Surprised?" "I sure am, ma'am," shouted the driver.